What are you compared with the boy who lived? That's what a piece of Voldemort's soul asks Ron Weasley when it emerges from one of the Dark Lord's Horcruxes in the Deathly Hallows. Ron has always stood in Harry's shadow, but after Deathly Hallows, Ron really comes into his own. Warning, spoilers ahead. But if you haven't seen the end of Harry Potter, well, then you just deserve it. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to CBR and ring that bell to become part of our notification squad so you never miss a video. Without further ado, here's how Ron Weasley's been doing after Deathly Hallows.
You helped.
Well, yeah, a bit.
Became an Auror. Like Harry, Ron's strength is defense against the dark arts. With the Chosen One as your best friend, it's easy to see why. And while Ron didn't get an outstanding like Harry did on his defense owl, he certainly survived the Battle of Hogwarts at the end of Deathly Hallows, and that was enough for acting Minister of Magic Kingsley Shacklebolt. Kingsley deemed that all surviving students of the battle could become Aurors without a full Newt defense credential. Given how insane that battle was, Ron would go on to help Harry and Hermione reform the Ministry, and the Auror office in particular, to stamp out corruption and dark arts sympathizers. Attaboy Weasley. Married Hermione Granger. Ron has had a crush on Hermione Granger since Goblet of Fire. Of course, the tension has always been there, more so in the films, but it's only in Book 4 that we know it'll be Ron, not Harry, who falls for the bushy-haired savant. Midway through the book or film, Hermione accepted Victor Krum, the Triwizard champion for Durmstrang, as her date to the Winter Yule Ball. Ron only realized his feelings for her through the jealousy he felt over missing that opportunity. Grass is always greener. He got his revenge in Half-Blood Prince when he started dating Lavender Brown. Hermione was jealous for months, but it all worked out by the end of Book 7, and in the epilogue, they're happily married with kids.
Bed's empty. No note. Car gone.
Learn to drive. That's what happens when you marry a Muggle-born. Hermione's parents are dentists, inhabiting a world of evidence-based medical practice. Showing up to visit the parents with her husband via apparition or flu powder is probably not the best choice. That's why, by the epilogue of Deathly Hallows, Ron has completed a Muggle driving test. Well, that's one explanation. It could also reflect the influence of his father Arthur, who has always been fascinated with Muggle technology, and even owned an enchanted flying Ford Anglia, specifically a blue 105E Deluxe. Either way, he basically aced his driving test, although he did use a Confundus charm on the driving inspector, after he forgot to adjust his side view mirror correctly.
How much for me? 5 galleons. I'm your brother. 10 galleons.
Runs a joke shop. In Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Harry has become the head of the Office of Magical Law Enforcement. But it's turned him into a joyless, middle-aged workaholic. Not Ron, though. After a stint as an Auror for 2 years, he got out to run his late brothers Fred and George's magical joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. For some reason, joke shops are to wizards what McDonald's is to muggles, so he's doing pretty well. Ron is a favorite with the children of our 3 heroes from the original series. He's always there to break the tension. In fact, despite standing in Harry's shadow for most of the books, he's the only one in Cursed Child who seems truly comfortable with himself.
Shut up, Harry.
Has back pain. Even wizards age and get back pain. During Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Harry starts to feel his scar hurt again after dreaming about his past. He and Hermione, now Minister of Magic, fear that Voldemort lives on. They're not entirely wrong, as the Dark Lord did have a daughter named Delphine, a major character in the play. But before anyone knows about her, Ron suggests to Harry that his scar hurts because Harry is getting old. Then he complains about the oof sound he makes when he sits down, and that his feet are killing him. They are middle-aged parents after all.
Hold up, mate. Thanks.
Reunites with Dumbledore's army. In Order of the Phoenix, Cornelius Fudge, Minister of Magic, believes Dumbledore is trying to undermine him. To rein him in, Fudge makes horrible, tacky Dolores Umbridge the Hogwarts High Inquisitor, and new defense against the dark arts teacher. When she refuses to let Harry, Ron, and friends practice defensive magic, Hermione forms Dumbledore's army to practice in secret with Harry as the instructor. The DA would later defend Hogwarts Castle from Death Eaters and fight Voldemort's regime at the school from the inside. They would later reunite at the 427th Quidditch World Cup, including Ron Weasley, Hermione, and their children, Rose and Hugo.
You're honestly the most wonderful person I've ever met.
Got drunk at his wedding. Ron always liked butterbeer, which is thought to be slightly alcoholic. House elves got hammered with it, and Harry even once wondered what Ron and Hermione might do at Horace Slughorn's Christmas party, quote-unquote, under the influence of butterbeer. So it may come to no surprise that Ron got drunk enough at his wedding with Hermione not to remember much after the ceremony. Years later in Cursed Child, he tells his wife how he regrets forgetting that night and proposes to remarry Hermione.
Leviosa. Stop.
Never finished Hogwarts. In Deathly Hallows, Ron spends his final Hogwarts year with Harry and Hermione searching for the remaining Horcruxes that contain fragments of Voldemort's soul. It's a long story, you should read it. That means he never finished school. Since Ron and Harry both wanted to become Aurors, it wasn't an issue. The Ministry of Magic, Kingsley Shacklebolt, decided that all students surviving the Battle of Hogwarts could become Aurors without finishing their newts, which means that Ron was able to enjoy a fruitful but short career at the Ministry by dint of surviving a direct battle with Voldemort and his most sinister followers. Second thoughts. In the epilogue of Deathly Hallows, Ron marries Hermione and they have 2 kids. All part of the author's masterful genius plan, right? Well, guess who had second thoughts? J.K. Rowling herself. 7 years after its publication in 2014, J.K. Rowling claimed that she should have had Hermione marry Harry. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Rowling said, "I wrote the Hermione-Ron relationship as a form of wish fulfillment, but later Ron's insecurities would make the marriage a disaster." But Rowling has stuck to her choice, giving us a more mature and confident Ron and Cursed Child. She could have written an affair between Harry and Hermione in the play, but didn't.
Bag? Yeah. Jumper?
His daughter Rose. After Ron happily, or perhaps not so happily, married Hermione, they had 2 kids, Rose and Hugo. Rose is in the same year as Harry's middle son, Albus Severus Potter. Knowing her relationship with magical heroes meant instant popularity, she drags Albus through the train cars on their first Hogwarts Express ride in search of the coolest group of new friends. But Albus picks a compartment with the lonely Scorpius Malfoy, son of Draco Malfoy. They become fast friends, and when Albus is later sorted into Slytherin with Scorpius, Rose goes from being one of Albus' childhood friend to middle school antagonist. She's later compelled by her parents to try to make friends with Albus again, but it's clearly a half-hearted attempt. Can't we all just get along, kids? Come on.
Alright, what are the 3 most crucial ingredients in a forgetfulness potion?
Forgot.
His son, Hugo. Ron marries Hermione Granger and they have 2 children, Hugo and Rose. Hugo is too young to attend Hogwarts in the play Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and whines about not getting to go along with Lily Luna Potter, Harry's youngest child, who's also too young for Hogwarts. He accompanied his dad and their family to the 427th Quidditch World Cup, featuring Bulgaria versus Brazil. Ron, no longer jealous of Bulgarian seeker Victor Krum, supports Bulgaria at the World Cup, but his son, Hugo, decides to support Brazil. The little contrarian.
Brilliant. What is it?
Becoming a godfather. Harry and Ginny have 3 children together. Their oldest is James, the middle is Albus, and the youngest is Rose. Harry never knew his dad, but did know his heroic and totally metal godfather, Sirius Black. It would make sense for Harry to want someone to be a godfather to some of his children, and who else but Ron is the perfect choice. Ron willingly fills the role, stopping by the Potter Weasley household to entertain the kids, and just generally be there for his best friend. It helps maintain Harry and Ron's friendship, which was tested in Deathly Hallows, but repaired later when Ron saved Harry from drowning in a frozen forest pond. Again, long story, read the book.
I see that your friend Ronald has saved you the trouble of opening your chocolate frogs.
Becoming a chocolate frog card. Ron Weasley is the first to introduce us to the idea of chocolate frogs. We met those frogs in the first scene in which he met Ron on the Hogwarts Express. Chocolate frogs are those hopping little frog chocolates you just really hope don't feel a thing when you eat them. Each frog comes with a trading card or a famous witch or wizard, so it's no surprise that Ron becomes a chocolate frog card for his actions after helping Harry defeat Voldemort. In fact, all 3 get their own chocolate frog cards, and it's definitely no surprise that Ron considers his finest hour. Gets lost at Hogwarts. In Cursed Child, Albus Potter and Scorpius Malfoy really screw up the timeline after stealing a time turner. They change Ron's history so he ends up unhappily married to Padma Patil, and then they turn him into a hopeless fugitive fighting in vain to overthrow Voldemort in an alternate timeline where the Dark Lord never died. There's no sunshine and rainbows in that one. Everything is fixed, and Albus and Scorpius are found by Harry, Draco, Ginny, and Professor McGonagall. Afterward, Ron and Hermione are summoned before the old Transfiguration professor's desk in the headmaster's office. Ron gets lost in the flu powder system and ends up in the kitchens. He arrives late, but still in time to hear Professor McGonagall yell at Hermione for keeping the time turner Albus and Scorpius stole from the Ministry.
Red hair and a hand-me-down robe? You must be a Weasley.
Still adorkable. Ron grew up poor, so his clothing choices were often dictated by whatever Molly Weasley, his mom, could afford to get him. Later in life, after 2 years of the Ministry working as an Auror, he went on to work at his brother's joke shop, Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. You'd think that would rake in enough dough to allow for better clothes, but no. In the first run of the play's production, Ron, played by Paul Thornley, is portrayed wearing homemade-looking sweaters, as if his mom still makes them for him. And his choice of orange, based on his casting photo, suggests a continued support for the Chudley Cannons Quidditch team, whose color is bright orange. He's still a kid at heart.
You're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it.
Well, that's about all we have for what Ron's done since Deathly Hallows. Did any of these things surprise you? Is there anything we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more magical musings. Bye-bye!